Welcome again to Terry TV. And I have to tell you, I was just chatting with the next guest and we were saying, what has it been, like a decade? And then I told him the truth. I said, well, maybe we haven't seen each other or talked for a decade, but I've been stalking him all over social media. So his name is Matt Bacak. And I have to tell you that he is just like the digital marketing legend. I really mean this. I think most of the digital marketers I know, he's been their secret weapon. They don't want to talk about it, but I know. He uses stealth marketing techniques. He became a best-selling author with a huge fan base of, get this, ready? Over 1.2 million people in his niche. He's also built multi-million-dollar companies. And in 2010, he was crowned Internet Marketer of the Year, which he should have been. And he was asked to appear on national television. His lifetime television segment was focused on how to make money using the internet the real way, which is one of the things I love because, as you probably heard me say many times, there's a lot of false experts in internet marketing. I'm telling you, Matt is the real deal, and that's why he's here. He's certainly a sought-after digital marketer, and as I kind of leaked to you, some of the world's top experts, I know lots of these people who he is really their secret weapon, and they don't want anybody to know they're being coached by him because they pretend to be the expert. So I've got the real deal here. Matt, welcome to Terry TV.
Hey, thank you very much. It's great to see you again.
It's great to see you too. This is going to be fun because every kind of business, no matter who they are, where they are, whether they're a startup, they've already launched, they want to do better, they all are looking for help with digital marketing. They don't necessarily even know what they don't know. And you know, statistically, we've got like 95% of business owners failing within the first 5 years. What's going on with the small business owner today?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating you bring that stat up because it's true. I mean, actually, that's an official stat regarding the Small Business Association says that. So, I mean, they've got enough data to say, hey, that's true. And one of the main reasons for that is because they lack of clarity to really define their target audience of who they're really going after. If you ask many of the small business owners out there, and you know this and I know this, we talk to them like, hey, who's your audience? And they'll say like home moms, or they'll say something to the effect of college students, or middle-aged men. It's very the problem with those demographics is it's way too general, and it's not, and the result is they're not going to be as profitable. And so and that's a big mistake, and it's really familiar around a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that they're gonna say something like that. And the worst one is everybody's my it's like no. Like, I mean, granted, I know you want everybody to have it, but at the end of the day, they're not the ones going to pull out their credit card and give it to you, because business is about making money, and we want to find the ideal people that are going to be able to buy what we're doing. So a lot of people, what they do is they waste a lot of their time, they waste a lot of their money, and don't see any really return for their hard work. And you can't successfully market and grow that way, because if you don't know who your perfect customer is, and that's kind of one of the biggest things is not knowing that. And it's kind of like it's really comes down to this. My wife actually said it the other day to me. It's like trying to call somebody without knowing their phone number.
That's a good one. I like that one. I'll remember that one. Yeah.
Well, let's give my wife credit for that one, because I was like, she goes, well, that's what it's like. So
I like that. So how do people narrow it down? I'll give you an example. I was just talking to somebody the other day. I was just introduced to her, and I said, what do you do? And she said, I coach moms. And I said, coach moms to do what? And she said, what do you mean? So what might you say to her if she showed up in your world?
Well, one of the biggest things, if she truly does, and there's two different routes we should probably look at, because we're looking at two different audiences that are listening right now. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming, and I'm going to make a big assumption, everybody's either an aspiring entrepreneur, you're already an entrepreneur, you might be pretty established, you might be in a couple of years, maybe you've been in for a while. So I bring that up because if this, and I don't know much about her in a sense, but if she actually has a customer base, that's a good thing to do, is be able to figure out, looking at the common characteristics of, hey, everybody that I work with, like finding things out about them that they have similarities, like that's a good thing, to really analyze. And honestly, one thing, and I wasn't planning on going this direction until later on. But I want to say this, like if somebody's listening right now and you already have customers, you know, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people, even $1 million companies. I mean, I was just, I'm looking at my list of people that came to my room. You know, I do a mastermind, and we're sitting in the mastermind, and I'm literally like, so who is your ideal customer? Who are we targeting? And then they name the same thing. And I'm like, guys, like who specifically are there? I said, like, can we take your best buyers? Can we, you know, take that data? Can we go to somewhere like there's places you can go to, like Info USA, or I just lost the name because we're talking about it. Melissa Data, I'm sorry. So like there's places like Melissa Data, you can take your data at and you can look at that and get the demographics and psychographics of those people. So if you already have a pre-existing base, it's a lot easier to really kind of get an idea of who that is. But if somebody's not and somebody doesn't, then one of the things that we really want to look at is, you know, to really kind of figure out, and we want to create our perfect customer. And in a sense of kind of figuring out like, hey, here's who we want to go after. Giving you an example, one of my clients, and I'm just going to look, his name is Chris, and he's chasing after moving companies. Like he's like, I want to go after moving companies. Like, yeah, that's great. And I said, but what we ended up doing, he went down that route. Things didn't really work out because he wasn't clearly defined on who he wanted to go to. And here's the interesting thing I said to him. I said, Chris, I want you to take in consideration, you're looking, it's fascinating to know that you're focusing on companies when, yes, you need to make sure the companies are doing a certain amount, because you want to be clear that they're doing a certain amount of money. They're spending a certain amount of money on advertising. They were doing a certain amount of things. But I said, you got to take also in consideration the owner of the company or the person you're talking to. And a lot of people don't realize, like, hey, there's somebody behind that company, somebody making those decisions. And what do they look like? Who are they? And that's kind of one of the biggest things when it comes to creating this perfect customer is really, there's kind of a formula that I kind of use, and it's like a 6-step formula in a sense, kind of just to really define your perfect customer. So if you guys don't know, in a sense of who your perfect customer is, I mean, really the big thing is I have usually 30 questions, and one of the free gifts we'll give everybody. So they have all these questions. I'm not going to go into all of them. We don't have time for them all, but really let's go over I'll just go quickly over 5 things that we really want to look at. Is if we're looking at our perfect customer, trying to get to in our heads, who is our perfect customer? We want to think about what are the common fears. We want to think about what are the common frustrations they're having. What are their common pains? What are their common, their urgencies? What's creating this desire to get your product, your service? What are their wants? What are their aspirations? So even though I said a lot of things, that's really 2. What are their common experiences? So like talking about moms, maybe they're all soccer moms. Maybe they all got challenging kids. I don't know, like what we might find, but as we're looking at it, like we're finding that everybody's starting to identify that. Maybe they have the common realities. So that would be number 3. Number 4 would be common, irrational fears and fantasies. And then number 5, in a sense of looking at them, and I'll have like 30 something. Actually, I have more than that questions, but one is one of the things, and actually, is kind of naming that person. So like I actually, jokingly, I have 2 different avatars depending on what I'm doing. So I have a mastermind, and I actually have an avatar, and I have one, his name is Brian. And so Brian is an ex-football player, an ex-sports player. He played professional ball. Like I know these people, if they have these they were in a fraternity. Yep. They're an entrepreneur, they're this, they're that, they're in an information business. Like I could tell you everything about this person. I can even tell you like what color hair. Like I created it to like, even though it's not a real person, I've created to like, hey, I'm looking for my other Brian, because my ideal customer, everybody they want, like they're going to have some of those aspects. And, and if I find somebody like that, I'm going to find that they're most likely to be able to join my mastermind. Like I'm looking at my mastermind. I just had it a couple days ago, so it makes me think about that. I'm not saying it for any other reason to do anything, sure. But just to say, like I literally was just talking to him, but whatever it is. So if I'm actually looking at, give you an example. So I wrote a couple other books here. So like, for example, this book right here is called The Marketing Sidekick. This isn't for everybody. This is for internet direct response marketers specifically, but I got to get crystal clear on what those direct response marketers, do. They actually typically sell information. A lot of them make money. Like I could be crystal clear on that. Like give you another example. I have another book called, Everyday Heroes. And the reason I bring that up is this is totally different. This isn't for this type of person. There's a totally radically different person that's going to be, more drawn to this, because this is more of inspirational and motivational stories. So, I just want to give you a couple different examples. Every every different product or every different service that we have, each of them are going to have a different avatar.
Yep.
And it's really important to bring that up for people to kind of realize, like, you can have more than one when you're kind of going through the process to really figure out who is this ideal customer that you're looking for.
I love that. And you gave some great examples. I have a male avatar and a female avatar, and they've got names. Also, I've got Dave and Nancy. And one of the qualities that showed up for me is that they liked Indian food. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
I noticed that was like really common thing in some of my clients. And a woman that I met at an event like 3 months ago, she came up to me on a break and she said, I think I'm supposed to hire you. And I said, okay. And she said, and I happen to like Indian food. I've read about your avatar. I'm her.
That's awesome.
So, it's just interesting because when you're really clear, you know what kind of books they read, what kind of magazines, what kind of websites they go to, what kind of conferences, you can put yourself in places where it's more likely that you'll meet your avatar, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like even down to the age, down to the sex, like what you said, even like we name them. That's cool that you named yours too. I named mine, and then, like, do they have kids? Like there's all these questions. Like I said 30 and I'm actually looking here. Oh my gosh. I go through, 281 questions I asked myself.
Wow.
And really knowing about that, even down to their family traditions, down to like, I'm getting very crystal clear on who they are and what they look like when I'm sitting there looking and thinking about my avatar. Not all of them, all those questions need to be answered by them, but it's just a good idea. Like you said, man, finding out, like, they eat Indian food. This is what they eat. This is how they dress. This is, like, you get this visual representation. And somebody we both know, and I'm not going to bring up his name, but somebody we both know. It's funny. His avatar. Do you ever talk to him? He'll let you know his avatar is Al Bundy. I remember that show a long time ago, Married with Children. Yeah. And Al Bundy sitting on the couch, like sitting there and doing all the stuff he does, and like he literally, his avatar is Al, and Al is like sitting on the couch, sitting around, complaining about everything, wanting everybody to get everything for him.
I love it.
And that's his. He literally like, my people are Al Bundy, and I look for owls. So just to give people, I don't know what age group people are in, if they even remember that show, but that's a good representation of, somebody sitting on the couch today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So with our marketing, I mean, everyone knows that they need to do marketing. People get that. I believe the audience understands that. And one of the biggest concerns that I hear all the time, and maybe you do too, is, well, what if I do this marketing or that marketing? How do I know it's going to be cost effective? How do I know it's the right marketing action? How would you respond to that?
That's a great question. Well, okay, so let me be crystal clear. If you've really created, and what we talked about is creating a life story for our avatar. Like, we didn't just like make, like we have this like life story for him. So you got to ask yourself the question is, where is my, I can't remember your names, but where is my Brian's? Where is my Al? Where do owls hang out? And so and here's the big thing. A lot of people, the big mistake, I see a lot, especially internet people getting in it, doing internet marketing. It's like everybody might say, oh, go to Facebook. Facebook's the best. You got to go there. Well, you know what? Al might not be on Facebook. Brian might not. And actually, I'll tell you, Brian's not on Facebook. I'll tell you where Brian's at. Brian is over at LinkedIn. So once you realize, like, hey, my avatar, like, where it truly is, and don't get emotionally attached to any platform out there, and say, where does my Brian's hang out? Where does my Al's hang out? Or whatever your avatar is, once you clearly define it, where do they hang out? And that's where you want to go. Like, why try to go and, chip away and try to like convince people? Why don't you go and, like, I always joke around to my students and people that I work with, and I tell them, like, let's stand underneath a waterfall of money, like, so where is it? Why do we, we don't want to go where we're tolerated. We want to go where we're celebrated. And if you've got a solution you got a solution for Al, you got a solution for Bob or for Brian, go where Brian's hanging out, because you'll be celebrated. And if you notice you're getting a lot of friction, and we joke around, because we use a lot of different things, but sometimes you'll find out you want to go where you're not getting friction. And if you start seeing a lot of friction, like, hey, I'm going to Facebook, and I'm like pounding my head, well, maybe that's not the place for you, because your people aren't there. Maybe they're somewhere else. So really there is no true blanket statement for where is, everyone wants to hear these blanket statements. The fact is, once you clearly define who your avatar is, and clearly define and give them a life story and bring them to life, we even draw ours out. And so, it's like, where are they? And once I say, okay, are they at Facebook? Are they at LinkedIn? Are they hanging out in forums? Are they hanging out, are they not even online? I was, one of my my guys' name is Lou, and I was talking to Lou, in the meeting, and I said to him, I said, Lou, I honestly think your people are online. I was like, let's go back to old school stuff. Let's go to direct mail. I got him in direct mail. This was 3 months ago. Now 3 months later, we met up again, and he's like, Matt, I'm crushing with direct mail. I said, yeah, because your people don't even know how to turn on a computer.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you got to be clear, and for some people, it just doesn't make sense. Some people, if people don't know how to use a computer, it's kind of one of those things. You got to be crystal clear and where your people are at, and they're not going to be flipping on the computer. Some people aren't, and you got to be clear. If your avatar isn't that person, then stay away.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I love that too about the friction, because you were describing that, and I thought, yes, one of the reasons I like to go to a couple of things that I go to pretty regularly is because I do have my exact people that I love to hang out with that are absolutely ideal dream clients, and it does feel like I'm celebrated, and I let go of things over the past where I felt that friction. I just never heard it languaged that way. I really liked that. Thank you for that.
Well, and it's really interesting once you're aware. It's like, I do that. Like, it's funny because in the internet marketing space, I can show up at events. I can show up some events and it's like, oh, I'm very celebrated. Like, where I can't even go to the bathroom because people are calling me in there. It's crazy. But I can also go to other internet marketing events, and typically it's usually the younger. It's the younger people that don't know. Maybe they heard of me. They think I'm a dinosaur. It's funny, like hearing the conversations. Like, until I kind of set them straight. Like, well, who did you learn from? Oh, who did you learn from? It's like, yeah, well, that was my student, but that's where it's kind of, you're tolerated, and those I'm very strategic, and so you got to think about, and I'm very strategic where I'm only looking for one person. I can go into a group where there's everybody's my perfect avatar. I can go in the group where maybe there's a few, and I'm clearly understanding where I'm going. If I am traveling to different things, I'm very clear on the outcome that I want to create before I get there. And it's based on, what's there. And it might be just, I'm going to meet the speakers, or I'm going to meet the people that are presenting. There's always a hidden agenda when it comes to me going to the events.
What I love, though, is the clarity. Like, I was talking for a networking group, and I was giving them a talk on how to effectively network. And the first thing I said was, know your intention of why you're going to that networking group. What is it that you want to do? What is it you want to get? What's the outcome? When you have clarity of the outcome, you're much more likely to have that result. So. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. I will say this for anybody, and this brings up something I just feel I got to tell everybody is, and one good thing too is, because really it's who's going to be attracted to your offer, who's going to be attracted to your product, your service, whatever you're offering. And that's really what I think you should build your avatar towards. Not like, who might be interested, who's going to rip out their credit card and buy that one thing. And so, that's the place that, I always come from. And so working with the end in mind, whenever I'm going to places, I always think like, hey, what's the outcome? I always focus on the outcome and then work my way backwards.
Yeah, I love that. Focus on the outcome, work your way backwards. I love that. So if people are looking for maybe what I'll call the missing step, like what should I be doing that that they don't know? What's the secret sauce that you can give people today?
In what area?
In marketing. In what am I supposed to be doing in marketing? Is there some secret that I'm supposed to know that I don't know? Is there anything?
That's an interesting question, and very open-ended.
Yeah, it
is. So you have me thinking. Here is something. It's easier. Here's one thing that I've learned the hard way, and Terry, you probably learned this too, is the fact that it's very hard for me to multiply a zero. It's very hard. And I tell people, like, at certain levels, I'm like, look, I just tell people I can't multiply a zero. Once you get past a zero, then it's easier for me to help you because I can analyze, and I love numbers. I am so fascinated with, and I hate it because I say this because I wasn't a big math person, but I just love numbers in the sense of, I do a lot of split testing. I split test 5 times. I split test, I don't know if you know this, but I split test 5 times a day. I split test 5 radically different subject lines a day. When I'm sending out emails, I do a lot of email marketing. I got so much data over the last 8 years, and if you think about how much I've mailed, I think I figured it out. I've done over like 5,000 different split tests. And I say that because, and bring that up, is the one thing is I think, and this also goes into it, the lessons from split testing is don't get emotionally attached to anything. And what I feel is true isn't going to always what I feel is going to be the thing that's going to win isn't the thing that's going to win. That's one thing. And a lot of stuff is counterintuitive. And the only way for me to get to that conclusion, and for anybody to get to the conclusion, is like remove yourself from everything. And just, if you go look at your numbers in your business, like if you keep on doing the same thing and you keep on doing the same thing and the same thing and same thing, and you still have a zero, like maybe we need to change something. But if you go in there and look at it, and what's fascinating is so many people don't look at their numbers. If you're going in and every week, and I actually, so I'm bringing this, I don't know if you can see this, but this is what we do every day, every week. Like, these numbers are important. You can see right here. So like in my Monday meetings, and like this is from Rockefeller. So I kind of stole this from
it also. Yep.
The Rockefeller habits.
Yeah.
So I took it and I reworked it a little bit. So with my own, but I always start off with good news stories. So we have Monday meetings, and the real purpose for Monday meetings, and I do this with all my companies. So I was running, at one time I was running 3. Well, I would usually run 3, so I was really running 4. So I had 3 outside of me, 4, and all of them were doing multi-million dollars a year. I would only meet with them on Mondays, and on Mondays I would have them report to me, hey, good news, tell everybody what's going on. But here's the big thing: everybody share the numbers, and we had true numbers and metrics of what's going on, because then I could see, hey, are the numbers going in the direction I want them to go? If there's numbers missing, I want to know, what's from there. But these numbers, and the reason I bring that up, and the rest is, but the reason I bring that up is because looking at the numbers inside your business, of saying, hey, what's the most profitable thing that I have? What's the most profitable thing that I've got going? I walked into a barbecue restaurant. Oh, actually, I bought one. That was a dumb mistake. And then while I was doing that, I worked in I was literally on the phone talking to people, coaching people, while I was sitting and actually, doing fries and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And because I bought a franchise to one, so I was working in one of the stores just to get an idea. And it was funny because I was like, get me up front. I was like, I want to work the front. So I worked the front. It was on a Monday. It was the most sales he's ever had, the owner of that location. It was the most sales he ever had in one day. And the big thing I asked him, or the most profitable day he's ever had, on a Monday specifically. And I said to him, well, that's because I asked you what the most profitable thing you has, and I always asked everybody if they wanted that most profitable thing. That was like the big thing, kind of like, would you like fries with that? But he never got it. And so, I bring that up because, a lot of times we want to look inside our numbers. Our numbers don't lie. If we're looking at, and every week I meet with, after that meeting, that's my Monday general meeting. After that, I meet with the financial teams. So I'm saying, give me the books. Let me look what's going on. Where's our, I want to know, what are the numbers looking like? Because that's typically reported to me as marketing stuff. But overall, in a more secret meeting, it's like, give me the numbers. Where are we at with this? Okay, why is this number up? Why is this number down? But not only that, it's really also to tell me, is because they'll tell me, here's where the profits are coming from. Oh, great. We should do that again, because if you're not emotionally attached to it, even though it's like you enjoy selling one thing, a lot of people, especially internet marketers, they love selling. A lot of these guys love selling these small ticket stuff because the thrill of the sale. But, it's funny because I love seeing the email box getting full of these sales. But at the end of the day, it takes 100, 200, sometimes 500 sales to make one big ticket sale, and their life would be a lot easier. And they wonder why they're running the rat race. So I'm only bringing that up because, look and get the reality check. And if you don't have books, and so I know there's different people, if you don't have books, you can't look at those things. The one thing I would tell you to do is go look at your bank account, and really say, hey, is this, how is this going to result? And what are the results? Because your bank account, depending on if it's up or down or wherever it is, it's a good key indicator where you're at.
That was awesome. That was awesome. And it's two things that I'll piggyback on is, gosh, we're running out of time and I don't want you to leave. Key performance indicators, KPIs, key performance is really looking at your numbers. And I wasn't a math person. It was my least favorite thing. But in business, I love it because it is a game and you get to see it grow. And if you're watching it, you can make it grow. And it's pretty incredible. So I do recommend the book, The Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. I actually love the book. I was a Gazelles coach for a while.
Oh, were you really? Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love them. I mean, yeah, then you saw it right away when I pulled that up.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I know what that is. And it's really effective and it really works. And there's some great daily habits in there. So I actually want to recommend the book to the audience to get a copy of The Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. It's a really great book and you can make modifications like Matt has. So my gosh, we are literally like right up against the time. How about in just a quick sentence or two, any quick takeaway that you want someone to do or take action based on what they heard here today that they can actually do in their business?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not trying to be a turd. Let me give you guys one thing, because I really feel like there is a missing. We didn't have enough time to really go into it, and I know you said I can give people a free gift. And look, I usually don't even do that, but I will tell you, I've got examples like really clear where I talk about this example of Tom, and I even have a worksheet for people to do. Nice. I have all the questions. I mean, it literally is. Look, I sell this book on Amazon. I'm going to give it to you guys for free. I'll tell you about that in a second. But you brought up when you said Rockefeller Habits. There is. I recommend to everybody. There's two books. It's Rockefeller. It's what you said. There's another one. It's called The Great Game of Business.
Love that book.
Okay, good. Were you in the president? Were you in? I was in not presidents. I don't know. There's a group where I belonged to where we all were kind of required to watch it, and you had to do over $1 million a year and get inside the group.
Yes, me too.
What it is? They changed the name. EO.
EO.
Yeah, it used to be YEO, and they changed the EO. Yeah, so I was in EO. So this.
Forum.
Yeah, so you have to do $1 million a year and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of picked this all up at, and I've been usually implementing it from there. So the second one that I got was with Rockefeller was The Great Game of Business. Jack Stack. Yes. Excellent book I'd recommend. The third book I'll recommend, and you guys get it for free, which will complete this process. Complete this process. I actually sell it on Amazon, even if for nothing, but I'm giving you guys for free. So basically, I'm giving you guys a free download to it, and I'm just kind of let you guys know. Like I alluded to some of the stuff while we were communicating, but there's like a whole worksheet for you guys to go over, and you can print it out. The cool thing is you guys can print it out, so you don't have to worry about writing in my book. Print it out, use it. And then I also have like timelines, there's stuff, all the questions, everything for you guys to do to be able to really do it. And that would be, I would tell everybody, this right here, as much as it sounds like it's one of those things like, lock yourself in a hotel, lock yourself in a room, do something, but sit down and just go through this process because it'll get you more crystal clear where you should spend your marketing and your advertising dollars, where you should spend your time if you're going to events and stuff like that. I mean, it really is going to really clearly, help you in, where you need to go and who you need to hang out with. Should I hang out with Bobs or should I hang out with owls?
Thank you. Thanks for the generous gift. Thanks for your time today. And you truly are a digital marketing legend. I continuously stalk you. Thank you so much for being here on Terry TV today.
Yes, it was an honor.